Okay, I'm making this video to help you finish up some of the questions on the study guide. Please just watch this video if you're stuck on a problem and you don't know how to solve it. Watch this video to help you finish the problem. Don't just watch this video to copy down the answers. All right, that's not going to help you study for the final. Okay. So it says select all the equations that represent the graph shown. We have this graph right here, where on this graph it represents a specific line. Okay, and then we have five different equations of a line. When we have equations of a line, we have three different versions. We have the point slope, form, where it looks like this: h equals m x minus. I think it's flipped actually. There you go. This is k and this is h. Okay. This tells us a point on the line. It tells us a slope. M is a slope, and then it tells us a point on the line. And then we have what's the other one? Slope intercept. Where it's y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope again, and then b is the y-intercept. And then the last one is standard form, where it's ax plus by equals c. And it's basically, if you see something like this, you need to turn it, rearrange terms to slope intercept form, right? You got to get y by itself. Okay. So part A, we're trying to see if any of these represent this line. And I see this is a standard form, right? 3x minus 2y equals 6. So if it's the standard form, I need to rearrange my terms, get y by itself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move some of these things, move some of these numbers. Cancels out. Minus 2y equals, and I'm going to put the x at the front, right? Because I want to make it look like this. So I'm going to put negative 3x and then plus 6. And then I need to get rid of negative 2 here, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. And then we get this. I'm asking myself, is 3 divisible by 2? No. But the negative and negative cancel out. And then is 6 divisible by negative 2? Yes, that turns into negative 3. Okay, so this is my slope intercept form, right? This kind of basically turns into that one I saw for y. In this formula, I know my slope is 3 over 2, and I know my y-intercept is negative 3, right? Slope is rise over run. So from one point to the other point to the other point, is it 3 over 2? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yes, it is. Right? So slope is good. Does it start? So y-intercept means, does the line cross the y-axis at negative 3? Let's find out. Right? Does this line cross the y-axis at negative 3? Yes, it does. Negative 3 is right here. It crosses the y-axis at that point. So yeah, it looks like A is correct. Okay. When we look at B is y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. Does it cross the y-axis at positive 3? No, it doesn't. So that one's not good. What about this one? Y equals 3 over 2x minus 3. That's exactly what we just had here. So that one's good. D, y minus 3 equals 3 over 2x minus 4. That one looks like the point slope form. All right, that one looks like the point slope form. Y minus k equals m times x minus h. So in this one, I know 3 over 2 is my slope. So that's good. I know the line has a slope of 3 over 2. And then I know that my point on the line is h and k. So I need to take this number and this number. So it's going to be 4 and 3. Is 4, 3 on the line? 4, 3. Yes, it is. Right? That's a point on the line. So that's true. Same thing here. Slope is 3 over 2. Is my point on the line? Do I have a point on the line at 2 and 6? 2 and 6? Nah. 2 and 6 goes off the graph, so that's not even true. Okay. So those are my 3 answers here. Okay. Select all the equations that represent the graph. Okay, let's do a couple more. I'm going to make different parts to this video. Write an equation of the line that passes through 1, 3 and has a slope of 5, 4. So this question gave me a point and it gave me a slope. Give me a point and a slope. Okay. So I'm looking at my 3 equations of a line. Which one should I use? Point slope form, right? It gave me a point and a slope. So let's use it. Y minus k equals m times x minus h. I know my slope is m, 5 over 4. And then I know my point on the line has to be 1 and 3. Okay? But this 1 has to be with the x and 3 has to be with the y because that's my h and k. So let's just plug it in. Y minus 3 equals 5 over 4 x minus 1. That's it. That is it. Okay. This one's a little bit different. Find the center and radius of the circle represented by that equation. Remember. So let me break this down. I have this equation, x squared plus y squared minus 18x plus 10y plus 25 equals 0. We have all of these numbers, and an equation of a circle is supposed to look like this. Oops. Like that. Right? So remember, h and k is the center of the circle, and then r is the radius. So we want to make this turn into this so that we could figure out what the center and radius is. Right? It's easier to figure that out. But like the problem is, if we want to get squared binomials, we need to be able to get something like this. Right? We need to get like 3 terms. But here we only have 2. So we're going to have to complete this square here. All right, that was one of the steps. So let's try it out. I feel like I'm just giving you too much information at the beginning. Okay, so again, this is the goal. Try to make it look like this. I'm going to move this up. Move this up here. No, I'll kind of bring it back down. Okay. So, all right, I have this equation. My first step is to move this term to the other side. And I have x squared and negative 18x, y squared, and positive 10y. I need to group them together. I need to get those terms together. Right? So x squared, and then I'm going to put minus 18x plus y squared plus 10y, and then this is going to turn into negative 25. Okay. And then, so that's my step 1. And then notice how I only have x squared minus 18x. And then I only have y squared minus plus 10y. I need a third term. I need that perfect square. All right, let me give you an example. Like if I have x minus 3 squared, that's the same thing as x minus 3 times x minus 3. And remember when we did this, where we were like, oh, let's distribute x times x, that's x squared. X times negative 3, negative 3x. Negative 3 times x, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3, that's positive 9. And then you get this, right? So the rule was, how we know how to get from this to this. How can we go backwards? How can we go from this to this? Because we want our equation to look like this, right? So the rule, this pattern that we found was, wait a minute, negative 6. If we divide that by 2, what do we get? That's negative 3. Wait, I see that negative 3 right here. Okay. So then, how do I get that 9? If I do negative 3 squared, does that get me 9? Yes, it does. Right? So that was the pattern. We had to recognize that. Remember that. So let's try to apply that here. When I'm looking at this, I have x squared minus 18x, but I don't have that third number. This is step 2. Let's complete the square. I don't have that third number, but I have this negative 18. Ooh, I think I need to do something with that negative 18, right? I need to divide it by 2. That's negative 9. And I need to take that negative 9 and square it and get 81. So if I complete the square, I'm going to be adding 81. So I have my 3 terms now. Okay, I'm going to be adding 81. And then let's do the same thing for the y. Right here, I have 10y this time. So I got to do the same thing. 10 divided by 2, that's 5. Then 5 squared is 25. So I'm going to add 25. Okay. So whatever I do on the left side of the equation, I need to keep this equation balanced. So I'm going to add it to the right side as well. And then now let's factor. Let's factor this into something that looks like this, right? And again, here, remember, negative 6 divided by 2 got negative 3. And that negative 3 was here. And then you take that negative 3, that same negative 3, and then it turns into 9. Right? So how do I factor this? This is going to be x. Negative 18 divided by 2 was negative 9. Negative 9 squared is 81, so it's going to be x minus 9. And then plus, what about this one? This one is going to be y, and then 10 divided by 2 was 5. 5 squared was 25, so it's going to be plus 5. It's a positive 5, right? And then this is going to be negative 25 plus 81 plus 25, that's 81. 81 is a perfect square. How can I rewrite that to make it look like some number squared? Right? It's going to be 9 squared here. Okay, let me erase all this. I need more space. So I'm almost there. Let me kind of move this up here so I can finish this. Okay, so now I have my equation of a circle. It kind of looks like this, right? But I'm noticing something where I need a negative here, right? There's a negative, minus, 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 but this one is a plus. So let me rewrite that. Let me move that. Let me rewrite that. How can I make that How can I make that a negative here? I'm going to do minus, and then I'm going to make this a negative 5. Right? Because when you have a negative and negative, that turns into a positive anyways. So, okay, now I'm ready. My center is going to be whatever. My center is going to be h, this number, just the number, right? And then k right there. And then my radius is going to be this one. So radius is 9, and then center is 9 and negative 5. Okay, cool. I'm going to break this video up into different parts. So here's just part 1.